They look harmless at a casual glance, just small rectangles with symbols of hearts, clubs, spades, or diamonds. Yet behind these flimsy little cards lies a surprisingly massive industry of engineering, secrecy, and centuries-old craft. Glance into the world's largest playing card factories, and you'll see more than offset presses churning out images. You'll witness an environment closer to a secure printing facility, where precision alignment is measured to fractions of a millimeter, where special coatings give each card its signature feel, and where rumors swirl about micromarkings and hidden codes. In smoky backrooms, at casino tables under relentless surveillance, and in everyday home games, these decks shape fortunes big and small. The question is, how do companies mass-produce them with near-flawless consistency, ensuring no anomalies slip through? And in a world obsessed with speed, how do they still honor old-school artistry? It starts with the simplest of building blocks: paper. Except the paper used for professional-grade poker cards is anything but ordinary. Manufacturers source a specialized cardstock, often called pasteboard, which typically consists of 2 layers of paper compressed around a core. This layering ensures a crisp snap when you flex the card, letting it rebound to shape. In advanced factories, each layer is tested for fiber composition, humidity resistance, and thickness uniformity. Some brands keep these formulations top secret, aware that the trademark feel of their decks is part of their reputation. Step into the mill where it's produced, and you might see huge vats turning carefully selected cellulose pulp into large sheets, each eventually cut down to the approximate size needed for printing. By controlling the exact composition, how much cotton fiber versus wood fiber is used, or how the sizing agents get integrated, companies can engineer specific friction levels or stiffness. Once the paper leaves the mill, it arrives at the card factory in massive rolls or large sheets, ready to be turned into the iconic 52 card sets gamblers and illusionists cherish. Before printing begins, the factory environment must be stable. Temperature and humidity can alter paper dimensions, messing up alignment. Operators measure the thickness of random samples, verifying that every sheet falls within microns of the ideal. If the paper's too thick, the deck bulks up. Too thin, it risks warping or bending. Then come the printing plates. Today's top-tier facilities use advanced offset lithography or digital offset, often employing color calibration systems that rely on digital scanning for perfect registration. A typical factory run will feature an entire deck, sometimes multiple decks, laid out on a single sheet. The front side might be done first: suits, ranks, any special illustrations. The backside typically uses a repeating pattern, like a brand logo or symmetrical design. That pattern must remain symmetrical, so eagle-eyed players can't spot orientation changes. Cheaters exploit even the slightest asymmetry. In some lines, front and back are printed in a single pass, but only if the press can handle extreme precision. Each color, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, plus possible spot colors, must line up exactly with the next. If the red suit symbols drift even fractionally, players might see a misaligned diamond. Factories therefore calibrate the press frequently. Test sheets get pulled from the line, their color squares scanned with spectrophotometers. The slightest deviance triggers an automatic alarm, halting production. This vigilance ensures that by the end, no single card is tinted differently from the rest. Meanwhile, specialized staff watch for registration marks at the corners, verifying alignment. The brand's entire reputation hangs on the premise that each card is precisely identical. No misprints for card sharps to exploit. Yet color is only half the battle. The magical shuffle feel of a card deck comes from finishing. Factories usually apply a protective coating or varnish after printing. This can be a water-based or UV-cured solution that adds slip and helps the deck last. Moreover, a texture often gets embossed, a matrix of microscopic dimples or cross-hatching that traps air, letting cards slide rather than cling. Such finishing might be trademarked. Bicycle calls it air cushion. Tally-ho might say linoid finish. But they share the same principle, giving decks that intangible sense of fluid movement. Overcoats also shield the ink from wear. The brand might add different slip levels for various markets. Some prefer more friction, others less. The entire finishing line is typically a sealed corridor with UV lamps or forced air drying. Sheets exit with a subtle sheen to be stacked and allowed final curing. cutting transforms large printed sheets into the single cards we recognize. The process can be done by guillotine cutters, lasers, or die-cut machines. Each method aims for uniform edges and the standard curved corners with consistent radius. Card factories do test cuts on sample sheets, measuring with digital calipers to confirm uniform dimension. A variance of even a fraction of a millimeter can compromise the deck's perfect alignment. Savvy players might see or feel that slight difference. The corners must also remain free from burrs or snags. High-end lines do multiple passes, ensuring a clean edge. At some stage, quality control staff take random samples, weigh them, or examine them under magnification to confirm that the black ink lines are crisp, the color borders consistent, and the corners symmetrical. Collation is next, and it's surprisingly intricate. A standard 52-card deck includes 13 ranks and 4 suits, plus jokers, and sometimes additional add cards. Factories use mechanical or robotic collators that read small index marks or barcodes on each card, ensuring each is placed in the correct sequence. For specialized decks, like casino decks that must go in the new deck order used by gaming houses, the sequence might differ. The collator merges these cards at blinding speed. Some can handle thousands of decks daily. Nonetheless, each deck must remain pristine. In advanced lines, a camera double-checks the suit and rank of each card as it's collated, discarding a card if it's an error. Only then is the deck pressed into alignment. Factories call this knocking. The deck is tapped or vibrated, so edges line up like a neat block. If any card protrudes, that deck fails the test. Packaging sees each deck inserted into a branded tuck box. Tuck boxes themselves can be offset printed, complete with brand art, security seals, or even holograms. Some factories do final shrink wrap or a tear strip plastic wrap. If it's a premium deck, there might be metallic inks or foil stamping on the box. Then the deck is either cellophane wrapped or sealed in paper. Some lines produce decks for casinos, shipping them with tamper-evident seals. In those scenarios, the brand might store the decks in locked containers until they arrive at the casino floor to prevent unscrupulous infiltration. Meanwhile, the brand's marketing teams finalize distribution. Consumer decks shipped to retail chains, specialized decks for magicians sold in niche shops, and large orders for casinos or tournaments. But card production isn't just about mechanical steps, it's riddled with controversies and secrets. For one, counterfeit decks can appear, mimicking brand designs but introducing subtle marks that let a cheater identify certain cards. Reputable factories combat this by occasionally altering certain micropatterns or color codes. They track each run with tight security, storing printing plates in locked vaults. Some advanced lines embed invisible watermarks, only visible under IR or UV light, though this remains hush-hush. Another debate concerns environmental impact. Traditional finishes can be plastic-based, making the cards less biodegradable. Some brands now explore eco-decks, with water-based coatings and fewer plastic layers, though these might handle differently, affecting shuffles or fan moves. For players in high-stakes games, that difference can be a deal-breaker. Meanwhile, illusions or marked decks used by magicians occupy a gray area. Certain manufacturers legally produce marked decks for the Magic community, employing minute variations in the back design that a trained performer can read, but a casual observer cannot. They're not meant for gambling. Factories that handle these lines adopt hush-hush protocols. The patterns are rarely disclosed publicly, ensuring that only the intended buyer can read them. Sometimes, new illusions-based decks incorporate extra codes. A standard operator on the printing line might not even realize they're embedding a hidden system, as it's integrated into the design from the brand's R&D team. Historically, some factories relied heavily on human labor, inspectors physically verifying every sheet. Modern lines shift many tasks to digital cameras that measure suit positions with sub-pixel accuracy. But a surprising amount of skill remains. After all, even the best machine can't always judge feel, so staff handle sample decks to confirm that signature snap. A small friction test might occur, checking how easily the top card can slide off the next. Another station might weigh a deck to confirm it's neither too light nor too heavy by more than a gram or two. Factories producing casino-grade decks often do full electronic scanning on each card to ensure no color drift or corner anomalies. A single flawed deck can lead to massive scandal if introduced at a famous casino. Imagine discovering some face cards are minutely lighter or have a faint scratch. At the highest level, the entire production environment resembles a fortress. Workers pass through ID checks. Certain areas ban personal electronics, and sample cards can't leave the premises without authorization. Some lines might produce test designs or prototypes for brand new products. If these were leaked, unscrupulous parties might replicate them. So the synergy between secrecy and transparency is weirdly balanced. Manufacturers must display some aspects of their process for marketing, while guarding the intricacies from copycats. It's reminiscent of currency printing or passport creation in its seriousness. In parallel, the demand for novelty or collector decks has soared in the last decade. Companies collaborate with artists, pop culture icons, or design studios. This can lead to runs of a few thousand decks, each individually numbered, packaged in ornate tuck boxes with embossing or foil. The production flow for these small-batch decks can differ significantly, printing fewer sheets, using more elaborate finishing steps, or even employing letterpress for certain design elements. The brand might incorporate gilded edges, applying metallic foil to card edges that glisten like gold or silver. Gilding requires a separate machine that uses adhesive and precision alignment. One slip in alignment, and the foil bleeds onto a card's face. Some collectors never even open these decks, preserving them as works of art. Yet the main bread and butter remains standard poker decks. 52 cards plus jokers, symmetrical back designs, identical corners. In casinos, these might be replaced every few hours to prevent card marking or wear. Some casinos punch a hole through used decks and sell them as souvenirs, ironically letting a piece of that elaborate manufacturing process land in a tourist's suitcase. Meanwhile, card rooms rely on fresh decks for tournament play, ensuring no anomalies can build up from repeated shuffles. That cycle demands a continuous supply of new decks, particularly for big events like the World Series of Poker, which can go through tens of thousands of decks in a single tournament series. Factories ramp up production months in advance, carefully shipping them so they arrive fresh, unscratched. In large measure, the playing card trade is global. Factories in Belgium, the USA, Spain, and China produce billions of decks each year. Each brand fights to protect its name, sometimes leading to lawsuits over proprietary finishes or back designs. Over time, big fish swallow smaller local makers, culminating in a few major players dominating the scene. Yet small artisanal factories still exist, sometimes making pure linen decks or historically accurate reproductions of old-time designs. They rely more on manual printing techniques and small-batch craftsmanship. The resulting decks may cost more but attract niche fans, akin to craft beer in a world of big breweries. Some take customization to extremes, printing custom faces for corporate promotions or weddings. The tension between mass production and artisanal uniqueness is ongoing, mirrored in the tension within card players themselves. Do they want function or collectability, standard or fancy? At each step, the interplay of tradition and technology emerges. The notion of a deck of cards is centuries old, with suits that once carried religious or cultural symbolism. Now, factories churn them out with digital printing, computer-aided design, and industrial-scale finishing lines. But in the final analysis, the product remains the same. 52 uniform tiles, each intricately balanced so no suit or rank stands out. That simple concept fosters everything from lively home poker nights to million-dollar casino wagers. The factories that deliver these decks cater to the entire continuum. Some produce short-run, specialized collector decks. Others push out massive shipments for casinos or big-box retailers. In any case, that's the enthralling core. Behind the quiet presence of each deck in your hand is a swirl of engineering detail. Coatings that reduce friction, micro-embossed surfaces that trap air, unrelenting color checks for sub-millimeter alignment, security measures ensuring no duplication or forgery. It's a tango of secrecy, tradition, and rigorous standardization. Each brand stands on centuries of evolution in imagery, from the iconic King of Hearts Suicide King to the timeless bicycle design recognized in most American households. Even in an era brimming with digital amusements, physical cards remain essential in casinos and family gatherings, bridging history with the tactile thrill of shuffling and dealing. And so, the next time you shuffle a brand new deck, sniffing that faint aroma of ink and coating, admiring the crisp corners, pause to remember the labyrinth of steps that led to its birth. The specialized cardstock, the color-checked printing plates, the cunning finishes that allow smooth fans, and the hush-hush collation lines that ensure no card is out of place. It's a million-dollar marriage of craft and science, repeated billions of times over each year, all so we can enjoy the snap of the first deal. From the vantage point of an outside observer, it's a marvel that these slender rectangles can pack so much history, technology, and universal entertainment into something that sits comfortably in our hands. Yet that's the legacy of poker cards. A legacy shaped by centuries of cunning gamblers, brilliant engineers, secretive factories, and even the occasional meltdown over a single crooked edge. That synergy of tradition and innovation persists, ensuring that no matter how advanced our digital world becomes, the shuffle of a physical deck still resonates with the timeless allure of chance, skill, and perhaps a whisper of magic.